There's a little distraction for you. Giant panther riding a motorcycle in front of your kick.
Only here, man.
Conversion is successful.
Next on Rugby Wrap-Up, a Major League Rugby extravaganza with Bryan Ray, Dan Power, and Matt McCarthy, plus USA Rugby news. Rugby Wrap-Up brought to you in part by The Pig and Whistle, the world's best rugby pub. The Murphy Kennedy Group, founded with the idea that construction can be done better. And Lean and Limber, stretching your way to a healthier lifestyle. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Rugby Wrap-Up. Thank you for tuning in once again. And this time you are going to witness greatness in the form of Dan Power, Bryan Ray, and yours truly. Bryan, we got to welcome you with that backdrop. But first off, I got to go Great American, Dan Power. Dan, great backdrop.
Yeah, obviously earlier in the week, Memorial Day. So just showing my respects to all the men and women who have served and the ultimate sacrifice for this great country that is the United States. God bless.
But speaking of the Patriots and New England, the Toronto Arrows lost in New England. And Bryan, thus you have, is it Squidgy? What's his name again?
I believe his name is Wooji.
Wooji, and of course the Free Jacks banner behind you. And before we get to the nitty gritty on the game, I have an important question for you, Bryan. Did Tommy De La Vega's knee change the course of Major League Rugby history? Can you tell the people at home what I'm talking about?
The margins of professional rugby. I know a few referees who probably would not have made that call in the 79th minute, knowing what was at stake. But, technically Tommy had his left knee on the ground when he picked up the ball in the ruck. So he was playing the ball on the ground before he scored what was otherwise a legitimate try. So a very unfortunate and disheartening situation.
An arrow through the heart for Toronto fans.
Well said.
Thank you. Let's just pause on that for a second. Thank you. Give me your take on the match.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to tell exactly what the conditions are like when you're not there. It looked crappy, so I can only imagine it was worse. I thought both teams did not play particularly well. Obviously, some handling difficulties. From a Free Jacks perspective, got a gritty victory, only scored one try, but it was the one that mattered. And, Bodin Waka had his kicking boots on in bad weather and they won. From the Arrows' perspective, they missed a sitter of a penalty, the couple giveaways in their own end got caught. And then, if Tommy De La Vega's left knee is an inch or two off the ground, that's a try. And we're talking about an Arrows win here. And it's just, it's tough to take, and it kind of feels at this point like this is a season that's just getting away from them on the road.
Where was the drop goal attempt?
They're not real popular in MLR, are they? We've seen a couple, especially, I got to tell you, on the artificial turf, they're actually pretty easy to kick because you get a consistent bounce as opposed to the wet grass where you never know where that ball's just going to bounce or not. Free Jacks undefeated at home still, 3-0 there.
Does Dan Power, the NFL punter and rugby kicker extraordinaire, does he drop goal? Is that, come on, tell me.
When Dan Power wants the ball, Dan Power gets the ball, and Dan Power slots that field goal.
Bryan, it's not too late to get a Dan Power in the Arrows lineup.
Yeah, well, I didn't see him anywhere on the sideline there when they were waving desperately for help. So what can you do?
All right. Well, what we can do is move on to the next match. And that was Santiago laying it on the SaberCats, Stan. Wow.
We got to watch San Diego now on the West, right? Everyone's kind of focused on the Utah and Austin kind of battling out for number 2, but San Diego's just kind of plugging away, and Furno's there, Paddy Ryan's there now. A couple other players might be coming in the next few weeks. All of a sudden, San Diego look red hot. I just feel for Houston, though, because I still think they're a good team and they're just not kind of figuring out how to put it all together for 80 minutes just yet. It's just not translating onto the field, so which is frustrating. Because normally if you're not performing well, you can say, oh, this, and this, and then you can fix it. When it's this mystery, it becomes a drawn-out process of trying to figure out, do we burn this to the ground or are we closer than we think? Who knows? So,
and maybe there's more trade win rumors stuff.
You love your trades.
Sam Windsor, capable kicker. I know that, some injuries in the East might force a team to make a move or two, but we'll get to that in a moment. But, Brian, what are your ears to the ground telling you about personnel moves for San Diego, potential players coming in? I hear Rob Shaw is training.
Yeah, he is back in training. They're trying to, there was actually some suggestion he might have even, suited up this past weekend, but obviously didn't. I think he'll be back pretty soon, which is a surprise, frankly, after that shoulder injury. I think a lot of us thought he was probably done for the season. So it's great news for them. And yeah, I mean, you get Rob Shaw back in there, a couple of other guys nursing the minor injuries back in that lineup. And all of a sudden you start to think, can they do it? Can San Diego get back in here? I mean, that's pretty impressive. And we're hearing some New Zealand All Black might be on the way back. Now, I hear that's next season and not this season, but who am I? I'm just some random guy in Canada, so I could be dead wrong on that one.
You're the best Canadian. We established that last week. Canada's best person ever is now what you're up for. And I'm just going to say it. I'm crazy. First week of June, ladies and gentlemen, looking right at you right at your home. I'm saying San Diego is going to win the West. You heard it here.
Win the West.
They're going to come in second, and they're going to come out of the playoffs. They're going to play New York in the final. That's what I'm saying right here.
Johnny, clip that and save it.
They're going to play New York in the final. That's what I'm saying right here. Los Angeles going into Atlanta.
Fantastic contest, full of drama. I love, ATL displayed amazing defense, but more than that, I mean, they really took it to LA. From minute one, there was no intimidation. Like, these guys were up for that game. You could see, Marno Redling Ice and Johan Momsen and Matt Heaton, who I thought had an absolutely phenomenal match. They just went to them. And look, the scoreboard at the end of the game, we're talking 5 points. And yeah, you can say, hey, LA could have scored and snuck out a win at the end. But, there were other scoring opportunities in that game for ATL. I mean, Mark O'Keefe, who I thought played really well defensively, stone cold dropped 2 passes that were probably tries if he catches them. That just happens, whatever. I mean, that was just.
Hold on, Brian, I have to interrupt because Dan Power he had a different, his facial expression said that he had a different opinion of that. Dan? Mark O'Keefe?
No, I was going to say Atlanta is now famous for 3 things, guys. You know what that is? Ludacris, The Real Housewives of Atlanta,
Strip
and
joints.
Mark O'Keefe.
Oh.
No. Well, he could get a job there. I'm all about Mark O'Keefe. He is the greatest revival story.
Yeah.
Probably since Madonna's career. And then she's been plenty of revivals, but
I would go Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner and
that's a good one too.
Kurt Warner and Mark O'Keefe, right?
Mate, I'm Team Cowboy. I'm all about it. I mean, New York, what were you thinking?
They were thinking Fuatai.
Yeah, he's also pretty good too.
Yeah.
So sorry, Cowboy.
So,
But I still love you, buddy, and you're playing
I don't
great.
know why you
Don't listen to Bryan Ray.
Fuatai on the air, Dan. I don't know why you're taking cracks at him.
He's pretty big. I probably shouldn't do that. Johnny, cut that out.
But ATL, man.
Yeah.
I said New York's going to win the East. ATL, right there. And this all depends on health too. And I'm predicating San Diego on Joe Peterson remaining healthy, Cecil Africa remaining healthy, and all the new or battered bodies coming off and back remaining healthy. If they all stay healthy, that's a dangerous team. But we already talked about them. So let's move on to the next one. We've got Austin going into Utah. And of course, Austin took care of business, Brian.
I guess if that's the way you want to put it, you got to feel for Austin. I mean, we've talked about San Diego.
Why do you have to feel for Austin?
Why? Because
why do you have to feel for Austin?
Well, first of all, they lost by 21 points, so you got to feel bad about that. But I mean, we talked about San Diego getting ravaged by injuries. Austin might be worse at this point in the season. I mean, in that first half alone, they lost Dom Bailey with the knee, and then they had Will McGee coming off with the hamstring, and I'm missing somebody, and Dom McKean is coming off. I mean, I don't think there's a single player hardly on that squad who hasn't missed a game this season with injury at some point. So, I mean, they're just a battered, beaten up squad. It's tough to watch. And unfortunate for them. But on the other side, Utah looked great. They looked phenomenal. They were, flying it all. I mean, Teo and Kruse as a combination are just ripping up the league right now. They're almost unstoppable. So it's just really entertaining to watch. I thought they were excellent. And this was that match we were talking about, the pivotal match. So I think Utah is a little bit closer to that second playoff spot now.
Yeah, you talk about the trash heap. Mika Kruse kind of discarded by LA, Dan.
I discarded's a strong word. I don't think they really wanted to.
He was tossed aside and left on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Oh, the 405, no less, which is
405. But yeah, that combination of him and Mikey Teo, as I think I said during the broadcast, good looking times for the Eagles. Those two could be combining for the next 5-6 years at 15 and 11, 14, whatever he wants to wear. But yeah, Ned Hodgson was the other one you're thinking of, Brian.
The big blowing up hand,
dislocated his finger, and I think he's got a broken hand or something. The camera got it. You could see the indentation where he was dislocated, and I'm just like, oh, I know that feeling, and I know the feeling that comes right after it too, and it's not pleasant. But Utah played really well, Matt, and you've got to, we can focus on the injuries, and Austin deserved some sympathy for that, but Utah executed, played really well. Looked very motivated. It's probably the best I've seen them this year in that game. 1 through 23, they all contributed and played well. And the Bailey Wilson in open field is there a prettier sight. The high knees, the stride, all that off-season speed work. He's like, finally, I get to a bit of space to show him how fast I am. So it was a good game. It was a good game. And Utah now outright second. But yeah, like we've already said, they've got to keep an eye on San Diego. So I think those two run into each other pretty soon here. So,
and then the next one, I have proven one thing. You could go on a rugby trip on a team bus and come back on that same team bus after they have a rousing victory and be considerably less hungover than going out with Steve Lewis on one Sunday afternoon. That's what I have discovered. It was a scientific experiment. I'm not hungover today. I came back on the Rugby United New York bus, but Steve was in New Orleans. So I am fine. I don't know if that's an indication or an indictment of me more than anything, because I'm supposed to be an adult. But let's talk about the rugby side of it, Brian. You had to watch this because you're an Eastern Conference guy, and you watch two teams battle, and I didn't see this one happening.
Well, I don't think any of us did. I mean, we picked New York to win, but by a much smaller margin. But at the other side, we didn't know that Jamie Diva was going to miss it. We completely forgot that Jamison Fatanana Schultz was going to get suspended. We didn't think that Threaten Palamo was going to be missed. I mean, this was our concern at the beginning of the year. Old Glory, when they have their best 15 guys in the field, can stand up to any other team in MLR. The problem is their depth isn't quite there. They've got a lot of really young guys, and this is an unfortunate game for them. It took a bit of a beating, but look, and frankly, they're probably out of the playoff run now. But look, the guys, Dabulis, Noble, Casano, Corey Daniel, all these young guys, Jack Iscaro, Jack Carroll, all these young guys are going to benefit so much from this season, and they're going to be a much better team next year because of this. And, just unfortunate for them. And New York, boy, did they look good. I just thought they looked good everywhere in this game. Andy Ellis taking quick taps to Kara Pryor, swerving around half the team. I mean, that's just ridiculous stuff. So I just thought New York looked great, and they look in good shape to make the semifinal.
But Dan, I have, Segra Field, great complex. Paul Sheehy, Chris Dunleavy couldn't have been more hospitable. John Bradshaw Layfield came to the match. New York had injuries too. We didn't know. We thought that Hollinshead was going to be back. He ain't. He might be out a little bit longer than expected. So maybe the trade rumors start happening, trade wins start happening, something going on there. Civetta was out. Troy Lockyer was out. Sumption was unavailable for another commitment. So New York was really testing their depth as well. Yeah,
they were. And this is one of the games that was really going to come down to the rosters. And as soon as I saw the absentees for Old Glory, to me, they were more influential on the outcome of this game than the missing players in New York. Harry Bennett, again, comes out and does a great job, has another great game there. So
you called that last week. You were saying, he had a great match. How do you take him out of the lineup? And Ben Foden, man of the match.
Ben Foden. I was actually trying to find the video of the Happy Gilmore Bob Barker fight and put Ben Foden's head on it, because it's kind of like the league's like, oh, Foden, he's old, he's over here, just kind of taking care of some other stuff. But man, he's playing so well this year. And try saver at halftime, like comes in, like those effort plays that he doesn't have to do that. He's Ben Foden, like he's punched his ticket, but he does them, and it's just, to me, the rest of the team probably watch that and be like, hey, let's up our game.
We're going to take a quick break and come back with previews of next week's matches right after this.
If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street.
Been blind since I was 4. And I've never seen a beer commercial or a beer label. None of that stuff influences me. I drink beer because of the taste. And my beer is Pabst Blue Ribbon. It has the taste and the flavor.
What do you think's on the label?
I think there's a naked woman riding on a unicorn, jumping over fire. Oh, that's good beer.
And we are back with Mr. Bryan Ray and Mr. Dan Power. Gentlemen, we've got some squeaky bum kind of matches coming up, as per the standings, as Steve Lewis would say, squeaky bum time. Everything is wide open here. The West, the East, everything's topsy-turvy. Who knows what's going on? But let's try to make some sense of it all. And we've got two teams of buys, right? We got LA and New York. They're both off. So then the first one I'm looking at is Austin going into Houston for the Texas Derby Part 2.
Yeah, Texas Cup is on the line, so hopefully Austin can put 23 fit players together to play this one. You know, both teams probably pretty disappointed.
Oh, because we have to feel sorry for Austin.
I feel sorry. You could be a jerk if you want.
My job.
Yeah, I think Austin has a little bit more to play for at this point, and they won the first one. So even though they're pretty beaten up, I didn't see enough from Houston to suggest that they're going to topple the AGs in this one. So I'm going to go with Dan's Gilgroniacs here.
And your Gilgronis, are we to feel sorry for the Gilgronis?
We don't want your sympathy anyway, Matthew. So stay in New York. I will echo Brian's sentiment. I think Austin is the team that needs to win this because they're still in the hunt in the Western playoff. Houston could play spoiler, though, a little bit of vengeance for that loss up in Austin early in the year. Is this for the Texas Cup, or is Texas Cup settled for the year? We'll have to figure that out as well.
They're going to have a shootout.
Bam.
A real shootout.
Austin to win. Austin in a Steve Lewis squeaky one by 2.
Austin by 15.
Ooh.
Yeah. We don't need to feel sorry for the Gilgronis, okay? If you're going to feel sorry for somebody, feel sorry for the Sabercats. For God's sake. Come on, guys. The next one is another one of those where, wow, all eyeballs need to be on this one. Atlanta at the top of the table, going into NOLA, who's still right there in the mix, Brian.
This is a really big game for NOLA. They need a performance in this game. And geez, how do you pick against ATL after the performance they put against LA? I guess you could say maybe it'll be the New York situation where they've just blown out so much energy that they're just a little bit beaten up. Maybe I still can't pick against them. I'm going to go with the Rattlers in this, but this is a fascinating game. I think it'll be a relatively low scoring game with ATL just a little bit ahead.
Let's be honest. I think if NOLA lose this weekend, I'm getting the red marker out, getting ready to put it through them, because I just think that road trip, as we've seen this year, road games just become more and more difficult to win for teams. ATL, so impressive against LA. You look at the statistics from that game, it blows your mind. There's no way if you put those statistics in front of any rugby person around the world, they would say Atlanta won that game. But they did. I'll actually go with Brian ATL again in this one. I just think they're a really good side. They're in form. They probably would have learned from New York how they bounced back and lost to Austin. So, yeah.
My gut's telling me that NOLA might pull this one out, but Atlanta is I think they're the better team certainly on paper right now, and they're proving it on the pitch. So this is a pick 'em for me, and I'm going to go with the home team. I'm crazy. The next one up is San Diego on the road in Toronto, but really in Atlanta, Brian.
This is a terrifying match for me. I said that the the Arrows had to win last week, and they didn't. I did some number crunching, and the Arrows, if they win every single game from here on out,
He said
it's
out.
still
Out.
it still might not be enough. So I hope they have it in them to bounce back at home in Atlanta and get this. I hope the travel wears down San Diego a little bit. I'm a little bit concerned about how they're playing their form at the moment. So this is a tough. I have to pick the Arrows, but man, this is worrying.
Get your San Diego banner ready for next week's show, Brian.
Yeah.
You're going to
Should
need
we
it.
FedEx them some Legion gear, like the actual Roman stuff that they wear? The fans get them dressed like that.
Yeah. Paddy Ryan, my man, he's back. And that is a tough ask at set piece now to go against that guy. And it's not like he's been sitting down on Bondi Beach in a pair of sluggos, the sausage sizzle, eating fairy bread and smashing tuies. That man's been over in Japan getting it done. So he is in fine form. So I'll go San Diego on the road.
I'll take a Tui's new, please.
Mate, Tui's old. Oof.
Okay.
Bit heavier, but good.
All right. I think Tui's is a good Tui's for me. Brian, I feel your pain. I really do. But San Diego's coming loaded for bear now. They smell blood in the water, and the blood in the water is of all the other Major League Rugby teams right now, because they're playing good ball. They're playing good ball, and they're a good team, and they're just going to get better. And those guys are all professionals. And Dan, you're right. Paddy Ryan is in game shape, and I think San Diego is going to win this one. Sorry, Toronto. Next one, Old Glory at New England. If Old Glory is going to remain relevant in this race, they have to win this match. But the same can be said for New England.
I'm saying that New England will win up there. They always win up there. I mean, the history shows that they win at home. It's just the way it is. And New England in the hunt a little bit more than Old Glory. Really missing big Jamison Farner-Schultz. Obviously, he'll still be suspended. They are starting to get some players back. It was good to see Hearn and Fraser back, and they'll be better for the hit out. But I don't know. We'll see. Threaten Palama was pretty close. Jamie Deaver was pretty close. So if they come back in, it could be a roster, like game time kind of pick here for people who, I don't know why they would listen to us to make their picks, but if you do, I feel sorry for you. But wait until the rosters come out on this one.
Look, even if I dared to pick Old Glory, it's not going to happen with this thing over my right shoulder here whispering in my ear. Yeah, no, I'll go with the Free Jacks. No hesitation in this one. At home, I just think they're the better side at the moment. They're not beaten up like Old Glory, and they got this freakish blue thing hanging out in the sidelines that's just going to intimidate anybody who picks up the ball for Old Glory. So I'm going to go with the Free Jacks.
I'm going with the hometown. I'm going with the town of Boston. I'm going with the New England Free Jacks over the Old Glory, the beleaguered Old Glory squad right now, and they'll get their act together, but it's not going to happen this quickly on the road in New England, the fortress up there at Union Point. The next one, Utah at Seattle. Is this where Seattle just throws everything asunder and wins, Dan?
If memory serves me correctly, I don't think the Warriors have had a win on the road yet this year. Trying to think through their games, and so it could be a tough ask. But this would be the one for them to break the duck. For Seattle, Yamada's in town, which we've done.
So is your father.
Yeah. So that'll add a little bit to their back line with Matt Turner being out. But again, Utah, I'll make the death sentence for Utah Warriors fans. I'm going to pick you this week, so we'll see what happens. Dan,
I think you're mistaken. I think Utah beat Austin on the road. Brian, who's going to win this game?
Yeah, like I got to go with Utah after seeing what they did last week and knowing that they have actually won on the road. Yeah, all signs point to that. And they beat Austin. That was the big pivotal game for them, but they got to follow that up against a perceived lesser team on Seattle. Even though it's on the road, you got to pick up some of those points along the way. I'm going with Utah on this one by a comfortable victory.
As Gift Belu calls them, those people from the mountains The Utah Warriors. I'm going with the Utah Warriors in this one. And Dan, I am shocked that you forgot that Austin lost to Utah in Austin. I'm really
Gilgroniacs are known for their short memory, Matt.
What's that?
Gilgroniacs.
Oh, I'm on hearing loss. All right, fellas, last thoughts on this week's action.
How about that Eagles squad that we saw just named in the past week? A few new names, so it'd be interesting to see some of the young guys. I thought Ryan Reese, for example, had an outstanding second half for Rugby ATL against LA, and he was a guy I probably didn't expect to see in that Eagles squad. So that was great to see. So looking forward to see a few more of those youngsters and new names playing well this weekend. So
Toronto won't be impacted by the international test window at all, will they?
Is this another dagger from New York?
Are the three of us going to be playing for the Arrows during that time?
I've still got some shoulder pads around here somewhere.
I got my scrub cap, my mouthpiece, and just don't stay. If I get the ball, you're not getting it. Just know that. Dan, any Team Canada questions for Brian?
I've got you here to put you under pressure. Any names that we should be looking for that could be getting picked for their first run?
Well, yeah, there's a big lad by the name of Tyler Duguid playing for Montpellier, just broke into the senior team. He's enormous, second row. He's 20 years old. I think he's going to be in the Canadian team for the next decade plus. Cool. So I think you'll see him winning his first cap over in the UK. Duguid. It's his name.
Oh, that is perfect. He's got to make it. Let's see if Duguid can do well on this. It's just writing itself already. But that's a whole nother show. Gentlemen, we're out of time. I want to thank you once again for coming on. Mr. Dan Power, Mr. Bryan Ray, I'm Matt McCarthy on behalf of these gentlemen. And ladies and gentlemen, before you wait until next week to watch some of our stuff, check out some of our other segments, including our Major League Rugby show, our Global Rugby Recap, What Are the Odds?, our Major League Rugby Sports Bet show with the Philly Godfather, John Bradshaw Layfield, the WWE legend, and Gifty Bailu, martial law, the Zack Attack, and please sign up for our American Red Cross Rugby Wrap-Up Blood Donor Team.